Hi, welcome to the Cluttered Workbench. My name is Dave, and I'll be your host. I'm not an electronics engineer, but I am an avid electronics enthusiast. And yesterday I had posted on my Facebook about checking the battery level in my personal truck, which was kind of slow to crank, and yeah, it was low voltage, but it still had a good cell. And somebody commented about how good this Innova3320 multimeter be. And it's okay for automotive work, but there's a lot of shortcomings. I bought this on Amazon for about 20 bucks about a year ago. And the one thing I like about it, it's got a nice big display, and it does have a battery load test. So if you're checking 9 volt, 12 volt, double A batteries that are 1.5 volt, it works pretty good on that. It'll give you a more accurate reading putting the battery under a load. But if you're looking for basic hobby use, they're better for around the same price. And I'll explain why. This is a good meter for the money in terms of it is safety rated. It does have the Underwriter's Laboratory listing right here, nationally recognized testing lab. So it is safe for its rating, which right now they have it rated at Cat 2 600 volts. Cat 2 rating is basically household voltage. One of the things that I really don't like about this is its continuity, checking to see if a circuit is complete or broken in some place, and also the diode check if you're doing hobby electronics, like checking to see if it'll drive an LED and give you the forward voltage on it. It just doesn't have it. And also it doesn't check for capacitance, and its diode capability is okay for checking to see if a diode's still good and got a proper forward voltage on it. And one of the concerns I also have with it is it's not fused on the 10 amp DC circuit. If you make a mistake and have this thing on the wrong setting and plug it into a wall outlet, it's going to blow up in your hand pretty much. So let's take a look at one of the features. Let's check it over to continuity. This is one of the things I don't like about it. You'll notice it's got a nice big display, but there's no backlight. So if you're working under the dash of a car, you may not be able to see the display as easily, although it is nice big digits. They're probably an inch high. Let's check its continuity. It's horrible. It is not latching unless you lock these little hooks in. But if you're trying to get a quick reading, you have to hold it for a bit. That to me is unacceptable. These leads are properly rated at Cat 2 600 volts, double insulated, have the CE mark, which means it conforms to European standards. But yeah, I can't get this thing to fire unless I get these little divots locked in, and then it barely latches. I'm gonna switch it over to diode, and let's see if it'll drive an LED. Now this red LED should drive at 1.7 volts or so. And it just barely flickers, so it should be putting out at least 2 volts. Let's try the blue one, which should be about 2 volts. No. Yellow should be about 2 volts. The green should be about 2.5. It's not firing. And the white one is almost 3 volts, and that's definitely not going to cook. Let's try a standard 1N4007 diode. And oops, got a better connection on that. Yeah, we're getting about 0.58 forward voltage. That's fine. Let's try the Schottky. Excuse me, this is a Zener. And about 7 forward voltage. That's perfectly fine. But it won't check capacitance. Any of these capacitors here. But I am going to try something. Let me try continuity on a different set of leads. These leads are fairly cheap. They're PVC jacketed, very thin. Not much in the way of a finger guard. Let's try some Probe Masters. Now these Probe Masters are the shit, at least according to everybody on the internet. They cost about 17 bucks direct from Probe Master. They're made in the US. They got nice silicone leads. The probe tips are plated in 24 karat gold. That does not increase the conductivity of it, but it reduces corrosion because gold is a noble metal and it normally does not corrode. Let's try the continuity now. Those leads in the other way. Continuity. Hello? And these jacks are not the exact standard 4mm. Yeah, this is... One moment, please. Operators are standing by, waiting for your phone call. Yeah. Okay, we're in continuity again. Yeah, I just had to jam the leads in real good. It's a little bit better, but it's still really slow. And I don't trust this meter a whole lot. Let's try a voltage test. I'll go back to using the original leads. This is a voltage standard, and right now it's set for 10 volts. I think I bought this thing on Amazon for, I don't know, 15 bucks. So voltage standard. We'll go to DC volts. And it's picking up some ghost voltage. Let me get that label. There we go. And it should be set at 10 volts. Oops, across the leads. It's showing 9.98. That's not bad. We switch it to limit 7.5 volts. My fumble fingers would fit. Okay, it should be 7.5 volts now. 7.48. It's within spec. Let's go with 5 volts. 4.99, that's well within tolerance. And let's go with 2.5. 2.49. This is a pretty low count multimeter, only given 2 digits of resolution. It's probably a 2000 count meter, which I'll find out in a minute. Get my power supply out of the way. Let me check with my bench power supply. Should be reading about 12 volts. It is. Let me dial this down. Okay, yeah, this is a 2000 count meter because as I get closer to 2, it drops a decimal point. Yep. So that's a 2000 count meter. Not very, I mean, it's accurate enough, but it doesn't give you quite the resolution that a 6000 count meter or a 10,000 count meter or even a 20,000 count meter will give you. And one last thing we'll check, its resistance. See how accurate it is checking resistance. This is a decade resistance box or substitution box, and it has 1% tolerance resistors on it, so they're pretty accurate. And let me switch it to ohms, which is our resistance check, and I'll set it at 400 ohms. Now let's see how she plays. .39, yeah, that's pretty close. Let's try 100K. Bang on, 100 kilo ohms. Let's try a meg. Let it settle. Add a little bit on the third digit. That's not too bad. Let's make it 5 megs. Yeah, pretty good. All right. Is this an okay meter? For automotive work, yeah, you can get by with it. I've got better meters that I would use for automotive work. If you got deep pockets, you'd buy a Fluke 88 for automotive work, or there's several cheaper ones, less than $100, that'll do the job much better. And if you want to play around with the hobbyist level, I'm going to do some more meter reviews. I've got several multimeters that run from $10 to almost $400, which would be the Fluke 87, the gold standard of multimeters for the last 30 years. Yes, I love these so much, I got 2 of them, but and I'll use this as a basis for checking accuracy of other things. But I'll do a review on this multimeter, a quick one, because there's so many of them on YouTube and whatnot. But yeah, the only reason I like this one, because it did have the proper Underwriter's Laboratory listing. Runs on 2 AA batteries. So it should, in theory, put out 3 volts when checking diodes, but it doesn't seem to drive it that much because, again, the red LED should only need 1.7, 1.8 volts to drive it, and it could barely light it. And better multimeters will drive all different colors. They can put out 3 to 5 volts. And but yeah, I'd stay away from this thing unless you wanted to just putter around. But if you're doing a home electronics, hobby projects, RC, there are much better meters available to do all that. And hope you enjoyed it. I mean, if you wanted a cheaper multimeter that can do a lot of things, let me see if I can get it out here. The lead's caught on my bench. Yes, this cheap piece of shit will do a lot more than this. You can buy these for like $3 on eBay and on Amazon. Would I use it on high voltage? Oh, hell no. I'll do a review on these because, yeah, you can this thing will literally blow up in your hand. It's a portable hand grenade. And you can get them free at Harbor Freight too if you want to. It'd be under the Syntec name. Excuse me. These things are okay for low voltage work playing around on the bench. But yeah, I wouldn't take these leads here and stick them into the wall outlet because it might just go boom. Well, thanks for watching. Have a good day.